There is an invisible enemy quietly destroying your relationships, your career, your influence, and your peace of mind. It is not external, it is your blindness to how humans actually behave. Most people walk through life believing lies about human nature, and it costs them everything. The man who understood this better than almost anyone in history was Niccolò Machiavelli, the Florentine diplomat who wrote The Prince in 1513 after losing his political career during the Medici return to power. He wrote not to teach tyrants how to oppress, but to teach those who must deal with tyrants how to survive in a world where power is the only currency that matters. His insights have been hidden in plain sight for 5 centuries, used by the powerful while everyone else remains ignorant, kept secret in boardrooms and palaces, while the rest of us are fed fairy tales about honesty, goodness, and karma. Today, I am going to reveal 7 dark truths about human nature that nobody teaches, because, if they did, the powerful would lose their advantage, and the naive would finally wake up to reality. Let me ask you something. How many times have you been blindsided by someone's behavior? How many times have you trusted someone who betrayed you? How many times have you wondered why people do not act the way you expected them to? Why the honest person got passed over? Why the truth teller was ignored while the liar prospered? The answer is simple. You believe lies about human nature. You believe that people are basically good at their core. You believe that if you are honest and kind, others will be honest and kind in return. You believe that merit is rewarded and that truth prevails, that good intentions lead to good outcomes, that karma will balance the scales. These beliefs are not just wrong, they are dangerous. They leave you vulnerable to every predator, every manipulator, every cunning person who understands what you do not. Here is the first dark truth that Machiavelli understood and that the powerful have never wanted you to know, the truth that separates those who succeed from those who struggle, those who lead from those who follow, those who win from those who lose. Truth number 1. Everyone is self-interested. This is not cynicism, this is biology. Every human being, without exception, prioritizes their own survival, their own comfort, and their own interests above all else. Sometimes consciously and sometimes unconsciously, sometimes openly and sometimes in disguise, but always, without exception, always. This does not mean people are evil, it means they are human. When you understand this truth, everything changes. Everything. You stop being surprised when someone chooses themselves over you, when a friend bails on you, when you need them most, when a partner leaves, when things get hard, when a colleague takes credit for your work. You stop being hurt by betrayals that should have been predictable. You stop being naive in business negotiations where the other side is always looking out for themselves. The moment you accept that every person you meet is acting from self-interest, you gain the ability to predict behavior with remarkable accuracy. You can ask yourself, what does this person want? What are their incentives? What are they afraid of? What do they stand to gain or lose? And suddenly, their actions become predictable, their motivations become clear, their behavior becomes understandable. This is not about becoming cynical, it is about becoming wise. It is about seeing reality as it is rather than as you wish it were. Think about your own life. When you help someone, what is your motivation? Often it feels like genuine generosity, like pure altruism, like selflessness in its highest form. But dig deeper. You help because it makes you feel good about yourself. You help because you want something in return someday. Maybe not now, but eventually. Maybe not explicitly, but implicitly. You help because not helping would create guilt or social discomfort. Because helping builds social capital you can withdraw from later. Because helping reinforces your identity as a good person. Even your most selfless acts are motivated by self-interest, and that is perfectly fine. It is simply human. The key is recognizing this truth in others, not to judge them but to understand them, not to condemn them but to predict them. This extends to every domain of human life. In business, every company prioritizes its own survival and growth. In politics, every politician prioritizes their own power and re-election. In relationships, every person prioritizes their own needs and happiness. The person who understands this builds systems that align self-interest with desired outcomes. The person who does not build systems that fail because they expect selflessness in a selfish world. Truth number 2. Fear works better than love. Listen to what Machiavelli actually wrote in The Prince, words that have been misinterpreted and misrepresented for 5 centuries. He said, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." Notice, he did not say, "It is better to be cruel." He said, "It is better to be feared." There is a massive difference. A difference that most people miss because they confuse fear with cruelty, intimidation with abuse. Fear is a reliable motivator. Love is an emotion that fades when convenient, that weakens when survival is at stake, that evaporates when self-interest calls. A person who loves you will abandon you when their survival is at stake. A person who fears you will stay because the cost of betraying you is too high, because the consequences are too severe, because the risk is too great. Love is fickle. Fear is reliable. This is why successful leaders create consequences. They do not just reward good behavior. They ensure that bad behavior carries a price, sometimes a steep price, sometimes a price that makes betrayal unattractive. They establish systems where the cost of disloyalty exceeds the benefit. They make sure that betrayal is never profitable, never costless, never without consequence. This is not about being a tyrant. It is about being clear, about being predictable, about making the rules known and enforcing them consistently. The wise leader cultivates both love and fear, but they know that love is the foundation, while fear is the insurance policy, that love gets people to follow, but fear keeps them in line. Now, let me be absolutely clear about something. This does not mean you should be cruel, should be harsh, should be mean-spirited. Fear should come from the certainty of consequences, not from cruelty of character. The goal is respect, not terror, not abuse, not intimidation. The goal is clarity about what is acceptable and what is not, consequences that are known in advance and applied consistently. But the goal is definitely not naive love that expects loyalty without leverage, that assumes goodness will be rewarded, that believes kindness will be reciprocated. In a world of self-interested beings, you need more than love. You need leverage. Truth number 3. Appearances matter more than reality. Machiavelli understood this better than almost anyone who ever lived. He wrote extensively about the difference between how a prince should appear and how he should actually be, between the face you show the world and the reality behind closed doors. His advice was this: appear virtuous, even if you are not. Appear merciful, even if you are not. Appear trustworthy, even if you are not. Why? Because perception is reality in human affairs, because what people believe about you matters more than what is actually true about you, because you live in a world of perceptions, and perceptions are the only reality that determines outcomes. This is not about being fake, about being a hypocrite, about living a lie. It is about understanding that you live in a world of perceptions, that reality is filtered through the minds of others, that what matters is not what is true but what is believed. A leader who appears strong will be followed even if they are uncertain inside, even if they are plagued by doubt, even if they have no idea what they are doing. A leader who appears uncertain will be abandoned even if they are brilliant, even if they have the best ideas, even if they are the most qualified. The first leader will make better decisions because people trust their direction, because followers need certainty more than they need correctness. The second leader will fail despite their competence because followers cannot commit to a vision that the leader themselves seems to doubt. Think about the most successful people you know, the ones who have achieved the most, who have built the most, who have influenced the most. Are they the most talented? Often not. They are the ones who project competence, confidence, and credibility, who have mastered the performance that creates the reality they need, who understand that perception is the only game in town. The person who wastes energy trying to be authentic in a world of perceptions will always lose to the person who understands that perception is the only reality that matters, who calibrates their appearance to achieve their goals. This applies to every domain. In business, your reputation matters more than your abilities. In politics, your image matters more than your policies. In relationships, how you appear matters more than who you actually are. Master the art of appearance, and you will master the game of life. Truth number 4. Humans respect power, not merit. This is perhaps the most painful truth for idealists, for those who believe in fairness, for those who think that good work will be recognized, that talent will be rewarded, that the best person will rise to the top. Merit is acknowledged, power is obeyed. This is the cold truth that no one wants to admit. People will nod respectfully at your ideas while following someone else's commands. They will praise your intelligence while taking orders from someone less intelligent, but more dominant, more forceful, more willing to exercise power. They will admire your character while serving someone with less character, but more willingness to demand compliance. This is the human condition. This is how humans are wired. Merit creates admiration. Admiration is a feeling. Power creates submission. Submission is behavior. For things to get done in the world, you need behavior, not just admiration. You need people to follow, to comply, to execute, to act. And behavior requires power, not just merit. The person who accumulates power will always accomplish more than the person who accumulates merit, because power produces action, while merit produces only appreciation. This does not mean you should abandon merit. Quite the opposite. Build your merit, develop your skills, cultivate your abilities. But understand that merit alone is insufficient, that merit without power is useless, that the person with merit but no power will always be overshadowed by the person with power but no merit. You must also build power. Power comes from relationships, from reputation, from demonstrated ability to create consequences, and from the perception that you are someone who cannot be ignored, someone who matters, someone who controls resources that others need. The combination of merit and power is nearly unstoppable, is the formula for influence, is the path to changing the world. Truth number 5. Trust is a transaction, not a gift. Most people think of trust as something you give freely, like a gift, like an act of faith, like a bet on the goodness of human nature. You trust someone until they betray you. You give them the benefit of the doubt. You assume good intentions. This is backwards. This is dangerous. This leaves you vulnerable to every manipulator and con artist. Trust is built incrementally through many small transactions, and it can be lost in a single moment, can be destroyed in an instant, can be erased by one act of betrayal. Every interaction either deposits into or withdraws from your trust account with another person. Every promise kept is a deposit. Every promise broken is a withdrawal. Every moment of reliability is a deposit. Every moment of unreliability is a withdrawal. Think about your closest relationships, the ones you trust most, the ones you would trust with your life. How did they develop? Over time, through countless small interactions where reliability was demonstrated, where promises were kept, where presence was shown, where support was given. Each time someone showed up for you, your trust in them grew. Each time they let you down, your trust diminished, sometimes a little, sometimes a lot, sometimes irreparably. The wise person understands that trust is not binary, not a switch that is either on or off. It is a spectrum that shifts with every interaction, that can be high or low, that can grow or shrink, that requires constant maintenance and monitoring. This understanding transforms how you approach relationships. You stop expecting trust to be given freely, to be granted based on promises or intentions, to be automatic. You start earning it through consistent action, through reliable behavior over time, through many small deposits into the trust account. You also stop being devastated by betrayal because you understand that betrayal is always possible, that trust can always be lost, that you must always monitor the balance. The wise person gives trust carefully, gives it gradually, gives it based on evidence, not promises. They monitor the trust account constantly and respond immediately when withdrawals exceed deposits, when the balance gets too low, when the risk becomes too great. Truth number 6. People follow certainty, not truth. This is one of the hardest truths to accept, especially for those who value truth, who seek truth, who believe that truth matters, that truth should prevail, that people should follow the truth. But human nature does not work that way. Human beings are not designed to follow truth. They are designed to follow certainty. If you are correct but indecisive, people will follow someone who is wrong but confident. If you have the right answer but cannot deliver it with conviction, people will choose the wrong answer delivered with conviction. The world rewards certainty far more than correctness. This is not justice. This is reality. This is how humans are wired. Think about history. How many times have confident wrong leaders outperformed indecisive right leaders? The answer is countless, infinite, too many to count. How many times has a brilliant but uncertain CEO lost to a mediocre but confident CEO? How many times has a talented but hesitant politician lost to a less talented but more assertive politician? People are wired to follow certainty. Certainty provides psychological safety. Certainty reduces anxiety. Certainty gives followers something to grab onto, something to believe in, something to follow. When someone projects certainty, others assume they know something they do not, assume they have information or insight that justifies the confidence. Even when they do not, even when the certainty is misplaced, when the confidence is false, when the conviction is unjustified. The implication is clear. If you want to lead, if you want to influence, if you want to change the world, you must project certainty. Not false certainty, not reckless certainty, not certainty without basis. But you must learn to make decisions with confidence even when information is incomplete, to project faith in your direction even when you have doubts, to lead with conviction even when the path is unclear. The leader who waffles will lose followers to the leader who decides, even if the waffling leader's decisions would have been better, even if the indecisive leader was more correct. This is the tragedy of the competent but indecisive, the curse of the intelligent but uncertain, the downfall of the right but hesitant. Truth number 7. Alliances are temporary. This is the final and perhaps most important truth, the truth that underlies all the others, the truth that makes everything else make sense. No friendship, no alliance, no partnership survives when survival is at stake. When push comes to shove, when the chips are down, when it all hits the fan, every person will choose themselves. Every single time, without exception. This is not pessimism. This is the foundation of all strategic thinking, the starting point for all serious planning. Machiavelli was obsessed with this truth, could not stop writing about it, returned to it again and again in all his works. He advised rulers to always plan for betrayal, to always assume that allies will turn on them, to always prepare for the worst even while hoping for the best. Not because he was cynical, not because he hated humanity, but because he was realistic, because he understood that hoping for loyalty in a world of self-interested beings is foolish, that expecting trustworthiness in a world of survival seekers is naive. The wise person maintains loyalty while always preparing for disloyalty. They give their all to relationships while never being surprised when those relationships end, never being caught off guard when allies become enemies. They build relationships on mutual benefit, not on trust, because trust can be broken, but mutual benefit keeps people honest as long as the benefit remains. This understanding protects you from two dangers. First, it protects you from being destroyed by betrayal, from being crushed when someone you trusted turns on you, from being devastated when an alliance falls apart. If you expect loyalty under all circumstances, if you assume trust will last forever, betrayal will devastate you, will leave you broken, will destroy you emotionally and sometimes financially. If you understand that loyalty has limits, that trust has conditions, that alliances have expiration dates, you will build safeguards, will hedge your bets, will not put all your eggs in one basket. Second, it protects you from being a fool who trusts too easily, who assumes goodness, who believes in loyalty without evidence, who gives trust freely without earning it. The person who understands that alliances are temporary will work to make the alliance beneficial enough that betrayal becomes unattractive, will create consequences for betrayal and rewards for loyalty, will not rely on goodwill alone, but on mutual interest and enforced consequences. Now that you know these 7 truths, how do you use them without becoming the very thing you despise? How do you understand human nature without becoming a manipulator, without using this knowledge to exploit others, without descending to the level of those who have exploited you? This is the critical question, perhaps the most important question you will ever answer, and Machiavelli has the answer, had the answer 500 years ago. The purpose of knowing these truths is not to exploit others, not to take advantage, not to manipulate. It is to protect yourself and to lead effectively, to navigate a world of self-interested beings without being destroyed by them. The person who knows these truths can build genuine relationships because they understand what relationships actually require, can build trust because they know how trust is built, can create loyalty because they know how loyalty is earned. They can lead effectively because they understand what followers actually need, can make decisions that work because they understand how decisions should be made, can create organizations that succeed because they understand how organizations function. They can negotiate successfully because they understand what the other party actually wants, can read their counterpart's self-interest and align it with their own. Knowledge of these truths, used wisely, makes you more effective, more successful, more capable of creating value for yourself and others. The danger comes when knowledge becomes an excuse for cruelty, when understanding human nature becomes justification for exploitation, when the truths about human behavior become tools for manipulation rather than wisdom. The person who uses these truths to manipulate and exploit becomes exactly what these truths describe, becomes the selfish actor they are trying to game, becomes the predator they are trying to avoid. They become someone who cannot be trusted, someone who is feared but not respected, someone who accumulates power but loses their soul, someone who wins battles but loses the war. The end justifies the means is a dangerous philosophy, one that destroys those who embrace it fully, one that leaves them lonely, trusted by no one, dependent on force rather than loyalty. The path forward is what I call Machiavellian virtue, true Machiavellianism, the original meaning before the word became a slur. True Machiavellianism is not about being ruthless, not about being cruel, not about being calculating at all costs. It is about being effective while maintaining integrity, about achieving your goals without sacrificing your character, about winning without compromising who you are. It is about understanding the world as it is while working to make it better, about seeing reality clearly without becoming cynical, about knowing the truth about human nature without letting that knowledge make you cold.